I'd like to call the meeting of August 14th to order. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board created by the City of Ames. The board's purpose is to decide on applications for home occupation permits, special use permits, exceptions, and variances to the zoning ordinance, application for conditional use permits in the floodplain, requests for reasonable accommodation because of a handicap, and appeals of the decisions of the zoning enforcement officer. As a board of the city, we welcome all testimony. We make our decisions based on the facts and evidence as allowed under city code and present it in open meeting. Testimony before the board must be given under oath or affirmation. If the proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that testimony be focused on new facts or evidence not already presented. We ask that you come to the microphone up here if you wish to speak so that your testimony will be audible and may be recorded. Before speaking, please complete an orange card on the table by the door and hand it to our recording secretary. When you are testifying, please address your remarks to the board. We also ask that the proceedings be orderly. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is an independent volunteer board of citizens. We are not part of the city administration. We are served in our efforts by Jane Chang, Assistant City Attorney. Tonight, Eloise Sahlstrom and Justin Moore, City Planners, and Jackie Higgins, Recording Secretary. The order of proceedings for each application will be as follows. First, an oral statement summarizing the issues and procedural steps will be presented by staff. Second, testimony and evidence will be presented by the applicant. Third, testimony may be heard from any members of the audience who wish to speak in support of or in opposition to the appeal. Next, the board will give the applicant and the city staff an opportunity to present concluding summaries and arguments. And finally, the board will discuss the issues and evidence and come to a decision. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the meeting of January 26th, 2019. Are there any corrections?
I move to approve the minutes of June 26, 2019.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes. A second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The next item is a request for a special use permit to allow the construction of a memory care building at Northridge Village, a senior living facility at 3301 Stang Drive. Eloise?
Aha, there it is. All right, this agenda item will look familiar to you because a few months back they came before you for the approval of a pavilion and garden. The zoning for this area is floating zone, residential medium, and you can see that it has village zoning to the south and residential low density to the west. The request tonight is for approval of a memory care facility. So this is the campus. To the west is the existing Northridge Village building that includes all facets of senior living, including assisted living, memory care, and some independent apartments. On the east side, over here is an existing building that is independent living apartments. And what they're and the pavilion you supported last time was right in here, the garden and the pavilion. So tonight, the item before you is for a proposed memory care facility here that would include 16 beds. The addition of a memory care facility and the numbers of beds was approved back in 2013 with this master plan. So you can see that on this side of the site, on the east side of the site, it said memory care or independent living units. And so they're moving along as they had planned. And so tonight we have the memory care, and here's a copy of a close-up showing the facility with the landscaping. Whoops, that's a very much of a close-up. This shows the facility. It's a one-story facility. The architecture is similar to the architecture of the other buildings on the campus, creating a campus effect. The sidewalks tie into the sidewalk network. They're proposing landscaping in accordance with the requirements of the code. I will make one comment that this tree that's located here will be shifted over just a bit. It won't change the number of trees or the number of shrubs and grasses, but that tree will be shifted so that it doesn't conflict with the light pole. And so staff supports this request for a special use permit. The reason it does have to come before you is because of the RM zoning that says this use always requires a special use permit. So every change to the plan has had to come before you for approval. But we do support the approval of this plan, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for staff? I just have one. Is this the same? Was there a condition on the garden pavilion? Is this the same condition that's recommended by staff?
It is the same condition. The reason being is that the garden pavilion really wasn't going to require a letter of occupancy, but this building will. So before they can get their occupancy, they will have to show that the easements have been recorded.
Okay. If there are no other questions for staff, now it's time for the applicant to speak to their request. And if you could give your name and address.
Hi, I'm Jordan Anderson. I'm with Scenic Development. We are the managing partner of CCRC of Ames doing business as Northridge Village.
Okay, hold on. I have to swear you in 1 second. Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Great, thank you.
My address is 2114 West Sheridan Street, Olathe, Kansas. Eloise did a pretty good job kind of summarizing what we're doing. Just to give you a little bit better idea about the project and what we're hoping to get out of it. We have an independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing campus currently. We don't actually have any memory care on our campus. And because of that, when individuals happen to get Alzheimer's, we're needing to send them somewhere else. We'd like to be able to keep those residents on the same campus and not have to turn them away. We've done a lot of research on memory care because this has been an issue for projects that we have all the way across the Midwest. And we really wanted to do it right. And we've come to realize that these small buildings that look as much like a house as possible really is a calming effect for individuals with Alzheimer's and is really effective in keeping them in a pretty happy state despite their mental issues or disease. So it'll be staffed with 4 to 1, 4 staff or 4 residents per 1 staff. And primarily those will be universal workers that'll be overseen by an RN. That way, when I say universal, that means that these folks will cook, clean. They'll really be a part of the family that these people are in a house-like situation. So it feels like they're at home. So that's what we're really trying to create here. I really appreciate you guys giving me the chance to talk. And if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to help answer them.
Thanks.
Also, we have Nikki Neal here. She'll do all the engineering questions.
Okay, are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, we're good for now.
Thank
you. Other members of the public wishing to speak on this case? Okay, so I'll close the public hearing then. Board, any additional questions for the staff or applicant?
Nope.
Okay, and any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the request for a special use permit to allow construction of a memory care facility within Northridge Village Continuum of Care campus in the FSRM zoning district at 3301 Stang Road. And the following condition, all easements for public utilities on site will be recorded prior to the city issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
Second.
It's a motion by Perkins, second by Bowers. Any discussion on the
No.
motion? Okay. Roll call vote?
Aye.
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 The motion is approved. Any person desiring to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days of the filing of this decision. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a request for an exception to required parking lot dimensions for drive aisle width at 120 Lynn Avenue. Justin?
Thank you. The request for this drive aisle width exception is being brought by Delta Omicron House Corporation. 120 Lynn Avenue is the address, and the zoning in this area is high-density residential. It is also in the University East Impact Overlay District. The site is a 0.61 acre site, which the owners are in the process of seeking site plan approval on. The site will also require, the project will also require a demolition permit once the site plan is at an approvable state, which will be considered by the city council prior to final approval of the demo permit. The proposed development is a 3-story, 66-bed sorority house. There's parking located on the rear, the east, and also to the south along the side of the sorority house, with the drive aisle in question running along the south side of the house from Lynn Avenue there, which is out front. So the requested exception is for reduction in the required drive aisle width from 24 feet to 22 feet. And this is in order to accommodate the developer's desire for the proposed house, as well as to meet the required zoning setbacks, landscape planter beds, and minimum required parking stall depth. The parking stalls that are proposed are a 17.5-foot deep stall. They abut a 7-foot wide landscape planter along the south side there, as you can see. The 7-foot depth is the minimum required to have healthy vegetation, healthy trees. There is then, as you see, the proposed 22-foot wide east to west drive aisle there running along the south side, which runs all the way over to the east, not to the property line quite, but in line with the backside of the trash screening area. I'll just run through here real quick our analysis, and our analysis is based on the ability to adequately maneuver trucks, vans, and full-size passenger vehicles. I should add that the fire department has deemed that the drive aisle is wide enough to accommodate a fire truck, and also to accommodate the turnaround of that truck here at the back. So the fire truck will come in one way, will turn, and then it'll do a 3-point turn. And that has been found to be adequate by the fire department. The proposed drive aisle width is, in our view, adequate to the maneuvering of most trucks, full-size vehicles. This is not a site that will have day-to-day public access like commercial or even busy industrial sites will. It's residential, primarily designed for the sorority members who live here. There will be the occasional delivery truck, garbage truck. However, we don't anticipate a traffic level like that of standard commercial retail site, or a larger, busier site where you have a lot of coming and going day and night, or every day. With that in mind, I can entertain any questions. Our recommendation as staff is, as you see there, for alternative number 1, which is to, can be found to be in support of the request for the exception.
Any questions for staff?
Nope.
Can I just ask what the layout of the site is currently with the house? Is there an aerial image or what's
let me
the
get
width
that
of the
for you.
drive aisle now?
Yep. So currently, this probably isn't a great one. It's kind of faded, but I'll try to zoom in here best I can. So there's the house currently where you see the label right above it. So the house there currently does have the drive aisle on the south side still. However, it's angled parking that faces the building with a larger loop driveway there in the front.
Okay. Do you know the width of the drive aisle?
It doesn't come to mind
Okay.
right at the moment.
That's okay.
Current width
I was
is.
just curious. So, all right. Now it's time for the applicant to speak to their request. Hello.
Thank you for providing this opportunity.
Can
One
I
thing when
just-
we're looking at an old sorority or old fraternity.
Can I just swear you
Yeah.
in first?
Please do.
Sorry. So I'll need your name and address
Yeah.
first.
So Mike Bell, live in Des Moines, Iowa,
Okay. And what's your address? And
701 53rd Street.
okay.
Des
And do you
Moines, Iowa.
swear to tell the truth?
I swear to tell the truth.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
So when we take a look at the old, the existing site plan, I would contend that the parking width, the drive aisle, the parking in front of the house, none of those are conforming right now at all. And so the only thing that can't move is the property limit. We even looked at possibly doing that, and that was something that just we couldn't do. So we wanted to conform as much as we possibly can. There's a need to meet a certain number of beds in order to pursue those beds because it's financially viable to keep that number of beds so that they can make the numbers work. We needed to have so many parking stalls. And then we started working our way from both the north side and the south side. And we got to a point where we gave up a little bit on the threshold to walk into the house, but we couldn't give up anymore because there just wouldn't be enough room to clear the door. And so that's what got us to this 22-foot width rather than the 24-foot width. Other than that, I believe that everything's pretty much straightforward. It's a nice site plan, nice building plan, and I think that it will add not only to the neighborhood, but it'll add significantly to the experience that those women will spend during their 4 or 5 years at college.
Okay.
Questions?
No.
Nope.
Should we take a,
I think we should probably take a break, yep, so he can get back.
okay. Let's take a 5-minute recess. Apologize.
That's fine.
Back into session. And are there any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, thank you. Now it's time for any members of the public who wish to speak on this issue. Okay, and seeing no one moving to the podium, I will close the public hearing. Board, you have any additional questions for staff or the applicant?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that the alternative number 1 zoning board of adjustment approve this request for an exception of the zoning ordinance to allow for less drive aisle width than required of 22 feet.
Second.
Second, so that's a motion by Bowers, a second by Perkins. Just for discussion purposes, I will add that I appreciate knowing that there's non-conforming issues with the property currently, and that the applicant also looked into adjusting the property lines as an option. So with that, I'll have a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Motion is approved. Any person desiring to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days after the filing of this decision. And that is the last case on our agenda, so a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second. That's okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Wait, this again?
Yep.